Hey guys, hoping all is well with everybody. In this video, we're going to be continuing the read-along of The Secret Zoo by Brian Chick. And the last time that we ended off, we completed chapter 48, so we'll be starting today with chapter 49. But as always, guys, please feel free to follow along, and I'll be showing you any pictures as we come across them. Chapter 49, Podgy to the Rescue. The Sasquatch pulled Noah into the depths of the water. Noah kicked and pulled, but it didn't help. With such an insignificant amount of light, he could barely see. Seaweed tangled around his arms and legs and stroked his neck with its slime. He needed air more than he needed anything in his life. He was dizzy and nauseated, and his heart was pounding. The Sasquatch was staring at him. Noah could see that its eyes were open and gleaming, only inches from his face. The beast was enjoying watching Noah struggle for his life. For the Sasquatch, this was fun. As Noah prepared for the worst, he caught a faint view of something swimming above. It looked like a silhouette moving against deeper shadows. As it neared, Noah made out its oval body and long flippers. It was Podgy. Podgy circled the Sasquatch's head. He circled twice, 3 times. The beast's eyes followed the rotation, confused. Noah made out a thick cord of seaweed in Podgy's bill. As the penguin swam, he looped the seaweed around the beast's neck. The 4th time, he tightened the cord. The Sasquatch let go of Noah and swiped at Podgy, missing him completely. In the darkness, the animal struggled, bumping into Noah and thrashing him about. Podgy chomped down on both ends of the seaweed and swam up the way he'd come, tightening the weed like a noose. The weight of the Sasquatch stalled the penguin, and Podgy found himself treading water, pumping his flippers but going nowhere. Choking, the Sasquatch reached to free its throat. Podgy dropped the seaweed, darted between the Sasquatch's legs, snagged Noah by his shirt collar, and bolted to the surface. They squirted out of the pond and slid onto the muddy shore. Ella and Richie spotted their friends and rushed to their aid. "Noah!" Ella cried out. "Are you okay?" Noah coughed and spit up water uncomfortably. Within seconds, the Sasquatch appeared near the middle of the pond and headed for the shore. It swam through deep water until it could stand. Then it broke into a run with its arms waving and its claws extended. Ella screamed. The scouts heard pounding footsteps and looked through the trees. Little Bighorn was charging with its spike lowered. The children dived to the side and the rhino blasted past, nearly squashing Noah. When the Sasquatch saw Little Bighorn, its wickled snarl went limp. An instant later, the rhino's spike speared the beast. The Sasquatch flew backward and splashed into the water. Dead, the beast floated on its stomach with its long-haired arms spread out at its sides, repulsed. Noah looked away. Ella crawled to Noah. "Are you okay?" Noah nodded, but he continued to cough up water. "Listen," Richie said. He jumped up and stared into the distance. "I hear Mr. Darby." Over the battle sounds, the scouts heard Mr. Darby's voice, distant but clear. He was ordering everyone to fall back to the city, because Sasquatches were escaping from their sector. "No!" Ella said, shaking her head in disbelief. "This is our fault." Blizzard and the prairie dogs joined the scouts. They'd won their battle. The Sasquatches that weren't dead or unconscious were running away. Gasping for breath, Tank said, "We gotta get out of here. There are too many of them. No one expected this." Noah managed to stand up. Panting, he wiped his mouth and said, "Go. Without me. I'll catch up." "Noah, no!" Ella yelled. "You heard Mr. Darby. There's no chance." Noah leaned his palms against his knees and struggled to pull more air into his lungs. Then he said, "Tell Mr. Darby to drop the boulders. I'll make my way out somehow, but not without Megan." Tank was about to say something, but Ella cut in. "Noah, please! I can't lose another friend." "You won't," Noah said. "You'll be getting back the one you lost." Ella was quiet. Noah saw that she finally understood that she intended to leave this place with Megan, or not at all. He stepped forward and took the hands of his 2 friends. "Go," he said. "I promise when this is all done, we'll be eating lunch together in Fort Scout. All 4 of us." The scouts hugged. For a moment, Noah forgot where he was. He forgot the danger, the fear, and the pain. All that existed was the love he shared with his best friends. "Come back with Megan," Ella said. "I will," Noah promised. He faced their brawny friend and said, "Tank, you gotta get these guys out of here." Tank held Noah's gaze. Then the massive man gave him a quick nod and switched his attention to the others. "Let's go, gang." Everyone but Blizzard turned and ran. Blizzard padded toward Noah, but Noah held up his hand to stop him. "Go, Blizzard. My friends need you." Blizzard hesitated. He blinked a few times. Then he turned and headed after the others. Noah stood and watched them all go, treasuring the image of his friends. He couldn't help wondering if this was the last time he'd see them. When they disappeared into a foggy night, Noah shifted his thoughts. He sloshed through the mud and advanced deeper into the dark lands. Alone. Chapter 50. The Flag. Lightning cracked. Thunder boomed. A chilly wind blew from the hillside. Noah marched on. All around him, animals from the secret zoo were rushing toward the exit of the sector, trying to get out quickly so Mr. Darby could seal the wall again. Time and again, Noah caught sight of Sasquatches. Each time, he ducked into the underbrush and lay in silence until they passed. "How did all this happen?" Noah grumbled. He neared the hillside and the caves, and he contemplated how many Sasquatches might be there. He wondered if they were waiting for him. "What the?" Something cold and flat had stroked his leg. He jolted sideways and clunked his head on a tree branch. When he collected himself and looked down, he saw none other than Podgy. As usual, the penguin looked cool, casual, and unconcerned. Noah whispered, "I thought you were with everyone else. What happened?" Podgy waddled up to Noah and flapped his flippers. Clearly he wasn't going to leave Noah alone in this dreadful land. "You shouldn't have come back," Noah said. He considered this for a moment and then added, "But I'm glad you did." Together the boy and the penguin headed for the hillside, keeping a watchful eye on the Sasquatches as they raced toward the city of species. One minute, the beasts lurched forward like apes on their forelimbs, and the next they ran like humans on their back legs. The creatures seemed confused about their bodies, as if they weren't sure how they worked best. Noah and Podgy neared the mountainside, and each time the electric sky pulsed, Noah discerned more details of the terrain. When they started to climb, he thought he saw a scrap of color in front of one of the caves. He stopped walking and peered at the spot. Nothing. He hoped the light wasn't playing tricks on his eyes in this desolate land, and he caught up with Podgy. As they ascended along a rough path, sheer rock rose to their left. 5 minutes later, Noah whispered, "Podgy, look." 50 feet above them, at the edge of a rock wall, was the dark entrance to a cave that had grabbed Noah's attention. Wedged in the rock was a stick with a red flag tied to its end. "It's Megan." Chapter 51. Podgy takes off. "Podgy," he said, "we've got to get up to that cave. Megan's in there. I'm sure of it." The flag was waving back and forth. Noah squinted, but he couldn't make out any details in the darkness. Podgy stared at his friend with a blank expression. The boy leaned forward and grabbed the penguin's flippers. "Podge," he said, "I need you to get us up there. I need you to fly." Podgy flinched as if he couldn't believe what Noah was saying. "You can do it, Podge. I saw your buddy out on the ice. He flew, and I know you can too. You just have to want to. You just have to believe you can do it." Podgy backed away. "It's not that high. What, 50 feet maybe?" Podgy stared up at the cave and back at Noah. "Come on, you gotta try. Megan's up there, and time is running out. Climbing would take forever." Podgy glanced from the cave to Noah and back again. "We've already practiced this. In the water, remember? I rode on your back and it was easy. How is this different, huh? You just flap your flippers, right?" Podgy took a step forward toward the cave. The light in his black eyes sparkled. We'll do it like this. You take off running, and I'll follow you. When you start to go up, I'll jump on your back and whoosh!" Noah swept his hands up in the air. Podgy thought about it. A moment later, he took off running, waddling back and forth as fast as he could. Noah chased him. All right, Podge! The big penguin leaned forward and picked up speed. His flat feet slapped the mud. He stuck out his flippers and flapped them up and down. Go, Podgy! Noah screamed. Rabbits, monkeys, and squirrels were still passing them on their way to the safety of the city. Above them, electric clouds spitting out lightning and thunder. Noah and Podgy remained focused on their task, getting sky beneath the wings of a penguin. Podgy's strides grew longer and fuller. Then he jumped. The instant he left the ground, Noah wrapped his arms around him. The penguin dipped and bobbed, and he climbed into the air. 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, up, up, up. Then he began to waddle like a small airplane in turbulent sky. Keep steady, Noah hollered. His advice didn't help. When Podgy reached 7 feet above the ground, he lost control, veered to the side, and crashed straight into a gang of Sasquatches. The beast tumbled like giant bowling pins. Everyone slammed to the ground and started to roll down the mountain. When they came to a stop, they were covered in mud. Noah and Podgy untangled themselves and jumped to their feet. So did their enemies. For a moment, the creatures stood on their 4 limbs like apes. Then they charged, heaving their weight back and forth and sloshing their knuckles in the mud. Podgy and Noah took off through the trees. The Sasquatches chased them, grunting, panting, and kicking mud everywhere. Other gangs realized what was happening. From every direction on the mountainside, they ran toward Noah and Podgy. This time, Podgy had no choice. He flapped his flippers, preparing to fly. We gotta do this, Noah yelled. As the Sasquatches closed in on them, Pudgy's strides grew longer and stronger. The beasts were so close that Noah could smell them. They had a putrid odor, a cross between muck and sewage. Go! Noah screamed. His voice quivered with fear. Now! Podgy jumped into his strides and rose into the air. Noah leaped on his back, clung to his neck, and felt his shoes leave the ground. Podgy went up, up, and up. 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet. Noah looked down and saw the Sasquatch's long arms swiping at his heels. Yes! Noah yelled. Keep going! All at once, the Sasquatches crashed into one another. They stumbled and fell like cartoon characters. Noah saw the soles of their feet as they rolled. He cupped one hand to his mouth and cried, You're gonna have to grow wings if you want to catch the action scouts. Podgy sailed into the stormy sky. Once he was above the trees, he skirted the top branches as he'd been flying his whole life. Then he flew higher. Noah guessed that they were 60 feet off the ground. From this height, they had a good view of everything in the dark lands. The cave, Noah said. Right there. Do you see it? Podgy dipped down and headed toward the mountain. He skimmed the treetops so closely that Noah felt the twigs skip off his toes. As Podgy flew toward the cave, Noah peered inside, but it was too dark to see anything. Careful, Podge, Noah warned. Podgy straightened out, aimed for the entrance, and prepared to touch down. Through a natural in the air, he was a tyro at landing. The penguin slammed to the ground. He and Noah swallowed dirt and dust as they reeled and tumbled into the cave. Eventually, they rolled to a stop. The cave was pitch black. Noah couldn't see Podgy. The only light came from the dim, stormy sky outside the entrance. He peered out and was able to discern the dark silhouette of the flag. Megan! Noah screamed. He jumped to his feet and ran forward. Megan! I can't believe we finally... Near the entrance, someone ripped the flag off the stick and stepped into the light. Noah slid to a halt and stared. It wasn't his sister. It was a Sasquatch, the most monstrous beast he'd ever seen. And I'm going to end the video there. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the conclusion of the read-along of The Secret Zoo, where we'll be continuing on with Chapter 52. But I hope to see you guys in the next video. And again, thank you so much for watching. Please take good care of yourselves.